Hi there. In this lecture we see the genius of Mikhail Tal. He's playing white against Rantanen in 1979, the Keres Memorial, round 16. So e4 from Mikhail Tal, c5, knight f3, knight c6, and now Tal plays bishop b5. So the Rossolimo system, the Nezhmetdinov-Rossolimo, there's Nezhmetdinov-Rossolimo. Perhaps most appropriate for Tal would be Nezhmetdinov, a good friend of his. So this system, bishop b5, e6, white castles, knight g, e7, and now knight c3. We see here a6, and Tal volunteers the light square bishop. Knight takes c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4. d6, rook e1, bishop d7, and now knight takes c6. So some decisions here, like releasing the bishop pair, giving up the bishop pair, putting an extra pawn of black towards the centre, they might seem a bit strange, but there are certain subtle upsides here. With black having won this knight, sometimes the dark square grip that white might be able to create later is more effective. And there's opportunities here like queen g4 now. If there was a knight on c6, knight e5 would have been possible. So these opportunities are putting pressure concretely on black's position. We have e5, queen g3. So the queen nicely parked there, putting pressure on the position. f6, a horrible compromise move, it seems. So we have bishop e3, king f7. Black is manually trying to put the king into safety. Okay, white doesn't have the light square bishop to exploit that right now. Rook a d1, bishop e7, knight a4, and this puts an idea that maybe c4, c5 is strong here. Rook b8, b3, rook e8, c4, so kind of Maroczy bind. And in the Maroczy bind, if you don't have a light square bishop, it's kind of good sometimes. It would have been locked in by these pawns. So there is piece harmony for the remaining pieces. That's what can be said. Even though white's got rid of his own bishop pair, the harmony between pieces and pawns is strong here. We have c5. This does seem to compromise the d5 square. But if we look at, say, king g8, it was trying to put the brakes on white playing c5. Say bishop h6 here, g6. f4, f5. This is just one example where it seems as though if there's an incoming c5 like this, black's going to be in big trouble. So black kind of puts the the lock on white playing c5, but weakens d5. And d5 now is very interesting. So we have f4, and now king g8. So black has manually castled rook f1, queen c8, f takes e5. F takes e5, knight d5. So the big threat now is actually knight f6 check, winning an exchange. We have king h8. If bishop e6, just to put that on the board, there's no rebound or anything. That is just winning material. So king h8. But now this is factually a weakness of the last move to play king h8. It is actually weakening f7. So there's a ripple effect here, with rook f7 now being quite strong and dangerous. And we see bishop g4. Funny enough, black is in severe trouble right now after bishop g4. If bishop e6, rook c7, this position with bishop g5, we can see that black's shedding material here. Rook takes e7 is winning material. Here, there's rook takes g7, hitting the queen, and bishop f6, this is going to be mating, like this for example. Rook g8 is double check and mate. So bishop g4 was an attempt to shield things there, and we have now a remarkable tactical move indeed. Instead of the rook is attacked, so what would you play here? And so this is Tal. Does he listen to threats, or does he create his own threats? So, Tal plays an absolutely brilliant tactical move in this position. So for 200 points, can you spot it? Okay, the move is actually knight f6. Funny one. We have there are actually other resources in the position as well, which engines consider that might even be stronger. One here is bishop h6. This is remarkable stuff going on here on bishop takes. There's rook takes f8, for example, and queen takes g7. So how does black actually react to this? If this bishop is essentially pinned, if g takes, the point is here that the rooks simply double, and there's big problems here. Say this bishop is nudged, the rook takes h7, knight f6. This is near mating. You know, this situation is devastating. For example, here rook takes f8, queen e7, checkmate. So yeah, it does seem particularly, you know, it is quite devastating. If we look at this again, bishop g7, h3, h5, h takes. This situation is also in white's favour. White's massively up here. Okay, but it's not like a forced mate or anything just yet. But okay, knight f6 though is super good as well. So we have g takes. So one of the key points is if bishop takes d1, white plays queen h4, threatening checkmate. And the punchline here is if h6, can you see what white plays for 100 points here? Yeah, white actually plays queen takes h6 check here, and then rook h7, nice mate pattern with knight and rook. And you might ask, hold on, bishop's on d1, isn't that h5? And that's an interesting question. What does white play here, you think? You know, white just plays queen g5 here. And the threat, can you see what the threat would be? The threat would be queen h6. So say bishop g4, queen h6, and then mating. So let's imagine queen b7 is desperate. So that's x-ray defending h7. So this doesn't work, queen h6 doesn't work. We play queen g6 here, threatening queen h7 mate. So queen takes, we still got queen h7 mate. And here, queen takes e4 is super desperate. Yeah, we're actually just absolutely crushing it here. So for example, this situation is devastating. We're going to end up mating black. So yeah, fascinating stuff. So g takes is played. We have queen h4, bishop g7, and now bishop h6. And here black falls for a mate in 5, false mate in 5 by taking on d1. More resistant would have been queen e6. So for example, bishop takes g7 check, rook takes f6, and here offering the queen. Because if the queen isn't offered, say queen e7, queen takes g4, queen takes g7, white gets a winning endgame here. That's pretty clear, that's winning that endgame. So yes, this situation, if queen e7 instead, queen takes g4, yeah, as mentioned, the winning endgame. Instead of queen e6, if rook g8, rook takes d6, this is rook takes f6 time, and if takes here, queen takes f6 is mating. So yeah, it's funny stuff, it really is. So, but this move goes, funny enough, into a forced checkmate. So it starts with bishop takes g7. You might think, hold on, the king's really helping it himself, right? Guess what Tal plays in this position, which is really amazing for 200 points. Yeah, it's a forced checkmate sequence. There's literally nothing black can do. It's absolutely forcing checkmate, this next move. So what would you play here? Okay, it's the liberational effects are amazing. Bishop h8. So liberating the rook on h7. So threatening. Queen takes h7. Mate is the immediate. So king takes is played. If bishop h5, we're just going to take on f6. So there's no time to take on f7. There's queen g7 mate. Queen g4, there's rook g7. And this is mating. So yes, it's pretty lost. So king takes is played, but now queen takes f6 jack, dragging the king back. Queen g7 at move 30 is checkmate. Yeah, a remarkable Tal game, absolutely remarkable. So showing that Tal doesn't even need an open Sicilian. He can play this bishop b5. This is a really dangerous weapon of choice, bishop b5. So it seems, you know, he's heading essentially for a Maroczy bind. It's giving, because he's giving up the light square bishop, it's like the license for the Maroczy bind is less expensive. It's less of a penalty. You're not blocking in a bishop if you set up Maroczy bind later, which is quite often an advantageous structure to restrain black's central control, this bind position, and using it as a basis, this bind, for a remarkable attack, getting a knight into d5, rook f7, infiltration. But knight f6, what a stunning move, stunning concept. Knight f6. Amazing stuff from Mikhail Tal. Hope you enjoyed this as much as me. Thanks very much.